Neil, what a great week. We're just kind of back from convention or kind of coming down from that. I think we each had different experiences because I was kind of in those, at least 4 of the session offerings. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time out on the floor, but you certainly did. And you got to have some great conversations with folks. So I'm a little bit jealous and I love it. How was that for you?
The convention floor was buzzing. And the theme of this year's convention was celebrate. That's exactly what was happening over those 2 days in Bangor. There was so much positivity. There was so much happiness to be back together. As you mentioned, I did a lot of interviews. The most common theme that I heard was how grateful people were to be out of their silos, to be seeing old friends. And so it was an outstanding week.
It was so fabulous to see people who I really cherish being and hanging out with, who are some really amazing humans in person and not on the Zoom screen. And I just value that a lot. So convention was great. And Motor Booty Affair, right?
I know. Motor Booty Affair killed it. I hope we can re-sign him next year.
I do too. I think I'm going to go buy bell bottoms and platforms though for next year.
Something else that I really enjoyed about the convention, and we've talked about it, and at MMA, the staff talks about it all the time, which is how diverse the landscape is of municipalities and what we do day to day, what is in the municipal purview. And then that was on full display actually in the exhibitor hall. When you see these vendors that are pitching to you hot top for roads and banking services and home security products and Trio and HR. And you realize, oh my God, like there's such a smorgasbord of things here.
Yeah, it mirrors exactly all of the multiple hats that municipal officials have to wear and weigh in on and be experts in. And that's the other thing that I cherish. All of these little tidbits of expertise that you get and pick up along the way. Also get a chance to hang out with people to learn about what brings them joy outside of the municipality. Maybe we should do 2 annual conventions a year just to make up for what we've missed. But
yeah. Well, we do.
I'm looking forward to next year for certain.
We have the Spring Technology Conference, but it's a little bit different and definitely more pointed in terms of its audience. But you're right. A second convention would be great. I just want to give a quick shout out to the organizers, Alicia Gaudette and Sue Borden, who put in so much time and effort bringing it together. I'm going to have to fact check this at the end, but I believe attendance was close to 400 people and that there were over 50 different presenters in the various sessions and panels. Big shout out to everyone who helped make it happen, came out to it, and then, of course, provided their expertise. It truly was a special 2 days.
It really was. And that was an enormous, enormous lift.
We're going to play for you some of the interviews that we captured on the exhibit floor. We had a little bit of a podcast booth, sort of coffee table style, interviewing individuals as they walked by. You got about 20 interviews for your listening pleasure. But before we do, Rebecca and I love to pump any air into our favorite topics. And so, Rebecca, how did your sessions go?
I was really excited by the turnout. Most of my sessions focused on public safety and kind of focused on systems that municipal officials need to be thinking about in ways in which we can retain individuals, we can surround them holistically for keeping them employed and keeping them healthy, and also ways in which we can rethink kind of sharing a lot of our very finite and stressed services as well. So there was great turnout and a wide depth of individuals including people that came from our health trusts and our risk management. And I think that the presentations themselves, of course, I'm biased because I help facilitate bringing them here, were really important topics and really fascinating solutions for some significant public safety issues. So I wish, however, that I was able to attend some of the other simultaneous sessions that were happening. And because of that, and because of some of the interviews that you capture, we're going to launch into a special election related podcast, which is one of the other things that I'm fascinated with within the municipal sphere, and that's elections. So the next podcast will have some of those breakout sessions and a real deep dive focus on what is happening really quickly.
No, that's right. This convention basically tripled our list of topics for future podcast episodes. But one that we heard as an urgent topic had to do with the upcoming elections. And so we're happy to say that dropping just a few days after this recording will be our next episode, a precursor to the elections.
I am as well. And I'm really thankful for you for grabbing a couple of those folks who are going to help shape that while they're on the floor. You're really great at going around and grabbing folks. And because of that, this is a really long episode with some really fascinating topics and some of our favorite members and people. So good job, Neil. This is great.
Well,
bonus episode.
Thank you. Bonus episode. We'll launch right into it. I was a little starstruck by some of the interviewees at times. It truly is a great collection. Refer to the podcast notes to jump ahead to any interview that you're looking forward to. And it was great to see everyone out there. We hope to see you at MMA's convention in 2023. It's hard to believe we're already talking about that in Augusta. And of course, if you like what we're doing on this podcast, give it a listen, give it a like, and enjoy.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone. This is Neil Goldberg again with Debbie Laurie, City Manager of Bangor. Debbie, it's great to be here with you.
Thanks. We're thrilled to welcome folks back to the Cross Insurance Center for the first time in many years. Happy to have all of the energy back in the community. I think everybody's happy to be able to connect with their colleagues, maybe go and have lunch or dinner at one of our restaurants. Maybe you want to go to the casino. For those of you that want to golf, the golf course is right here. So we have a lot to offer, folks.
We're all going to spend our municipal paychecks right here in Bangor. Big dollars, a lot of commas flying around.
Keep your money local, and that goes for all of us.
Well, Debbie, I was told I was only able to sit down to this interview with you if I did some ARPA help with Bangor as well. What's going on with ARPA in your city?
So, interestingly enough, we have started and completed the public input process. So we got a lot of great feedback. We actually did it in a multitude of ways, recognizing that everybody wants to share their opinion differently. We've done it on online surveys. We actually did neighborhood meetings in person. We did formal meetings. We did informal meetings. We did Zoom-only meetings, morning, noon, and night. So we got a lot of great feedback, and it's interesting that the priorities of individuals in our community kind of span all of the options. Obviously, in Bangor, there's a lot of concern about the individuals who are unsheltered, the lack of mental health services in this state, the lack of substance use disorder treatment in our state. Bangor is just a microcosm of the larger state and national problems. The one thing that I thought would score really super high that didn't was roads. Because all of us in municipalities, what's the thing you hear about the most? You need to fix my roads. The roads are in terrible shape. And while roads scored, it wasn't the highest. So the highest thing under sort of an infrastructure was broadband, trails, and connectivity in parks and rec and open space. So it was really kind of an interesting, not what you might have expected.
That is interesting. And just so we know, it's not a coincidence that our podcast is called Potholes Politics.
I did not know that.
And so
nice tag, nice lead in.
Clearly road infrastructure is on our list, but so many priorities in Bangor for absolute sure. What about your enterprise fund? So in Augusta, the city is using some for the Civic Center.
Right.
We're here in the gorgeous Cross Insurance Center. Will there be any upgrades or improvements coming here, or?
I don't believe tied to the ARPA funds. So we were very fortunate in that one of the pandemic relief packages that came out of Washington, D.C. was what was the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program. So it was financial assistance that was made available to facilities like us, like waterfront concerts here in Bangor, that if you were an arts or a convention space, you could apply for assistance. So the city was very fortunate to receive that money, and we were actually able to use it to pay the debt service associated with the facility. So it was a huge win for us. Waterfront Concerts was able to use that money as well. So a lot of the federal programs really did trickle down to the local economic engines, if you will, throughout our state.
That is great to hear. And it's great to hear that our members in Maine were benefiting from some of those federal programs. So before you go, because I know you're busy today, you mentioned concerts. Are you looking forward to Motor Booty Affair?
I am. I have seen them in the past, and if nobody has seen them, it is a must-see. It is a full-on experience, I think, regardless. So anybody who may think that, that they're wholly disco and, ooh, I don't like disco, come by, check it out. It is a whole show. It is not just the music. And, break out your bell bottoms, your spangles, or whatever you want to do. So
we'll see you in the front row.
All right. I'll save a dance for you, Neil.
I can't wait. Debbie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Neil.
We're going to do second take with our MMA president, Jim Bennett from the city of Biddeford. Jim, how's the convention going?
Well, I think it's going great so far. I mean, it's just starting to roll. I thought our keynote speaker was awesome. Rebecca Ryan really gave our members something to think about in terms of the future and pay attention to signals and understand that, you got to be thinking about the future as well as, dealing with the day-to-day pressures that we all have. So I think she kicked it off well. I'm really excited about the way things are going to go for the next 2 days.
I heard in her presentation she was talking about emojis and how they can kind of give you a signal for what's to come. When you first started in municipal government, were emojis part of the job?
When I first started in municipal government, we hand-typed the tax bills. There was no computerization. So, yeah, emojis was a bad pronunciation for emotions, right?
Where did you begin your career? It's been a long one and a pretty prestigious one at that.
I actually was fortunate enough that when I was 21, I ran to be on the Board of Selectpersons in Lisbon. Of course, back then it was like men. We hadn't figured out that the incredible ability of women to be leaders as well. So I got elected in my hometown of Lisbon at 21, and then I got reelected 3 years later. And at the time, the town manager there, John Bouvier, who's pretty well known here in Maine as one of our municipal leaders, convinced me that I should think about being a town manager. And so I applied for a town manager job and took my first town manager job at just barely 26 years old in the town of Dixfield.
Wow, that sort of rings true to the hometown careers that MMA does. You got your start in municipal government in your backyard, and it's carried you throughout the state. Where are you now? What are you looking forward to do?
Well, I'm city manager in Biddeford. You're thinking about this hometown careers. One of the things that I've always talked about, and from my perspective, especially in leadership roles, is that when you talk to people about things they're proud of, predictably they're going to talk about their family, right? Or maybe their friends, right? They'll talk about maybe where they went to school, particularly if they went to some college. And, you got I think about my friend Scott Morelli, who's a city manager in South Portland. He went to Syracuse, so I always have to listen to him about the Big Orange and all that. But it's not going to be long before they begin to talk about where they grew up and where they live. And people want to be proud of their hometowns. And what we get to do every day in local government is they give us the resources to do things that allow people to be proud of their hometowns and where they live. And when you think about the opportunity to work in local government, I don't think there's anything that a person could do that's going to be more rewarding than have somebody say, I'm from Biddeford, I'm from Lisbon, I'm from Lewiston, I'm from, you put in the community, any one of our 490 plus communities in Maine, and I'm proud to be there. And if they say that, Don Well has been either a municipal employee or a municipal volunteer that's put in hard work to make people proud of where they are. And nobody's better at that than the people here in Maine.
That is sort of like school spirit, whether it be like a championship team that's on a great playoff run. But when you age out of school, what you're left with is pride in your hometown and pride in the people around you, your neighbors, if you're an elected official, your constituents. In Biddeford, you've had some really cool developments of recent. the Lincoln Hotel, some artwork in City Hall, and what are some things that you're proud of?
Well, I think the bottom line, what I'm proud of, is that people are proud of where they're from, right? They're proud to live in Biddeford. They're proud that they're from there. They no longer have to be embarrassed because the community and the leadership, under Mayor Cassavan, who's in his sixth term in the 12 years of serving that leadership, the city council, all the staff and the volunteers, we're doing things that allow people to be able to say, I'm from Biddeford, I'm proud to be there. All the other stuff is statistics. All of them are pieces of the puzzle. All of those things are part of the contribution. But at the end of the day, when I walk through a grocery store and somebody says, hey, can I stop you for a second? I just want to tell you how proud I am to live in Biddeford right now. And thank you for the job you're doing. That, my friend, is why we do what we do. And that's what this adventure is all about.
You're giving me goosebumps right now at a convention. So I will say this is our first convention fully in person in 3 years. How does it feel to be around your colleagues and our members?
It's awesome. One of the things that's really great about local government is we're so willing to share. Plagiarism is encouraged. Success is encouraged. We learn from each other. Nobody ever figures this stuff out on your own. And being able to have the conversations of what's going well, what's happening, and making those connections. Because in the end of the day, most of the time, all of us are the only one, right, in our community. There's not going to be another town manager in the community. There's not another city manager. There's not another police chief. There's not another fire chief, right? And so we're often alone as we're doing this journey. You may be an elected official and you may have a couple other members, but there isn't like 40 or 50 other elected officials that can understand that. When you connect with other people that do the same thing you do, it re-energizes you, it reinforces, and you learn from each other. And that is as much a part of what it's about to be live in a convention as it is the hard things that we learn when we sit in the sessions.
You're right. This convention is bringing us out of silos, and it's bringing us together, which is awesome. That's what MMA wants, to bring everyone together. So last question, what are you looking forward to? Is there a session? Is there a speaker?
My two really exciting things I was really, really looking forward to. And as you know, being on the MMA staff, a couple of them, these things were planned last year that we didn't get to do. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not a patient guy, and I've had to wait a couple of years for this. Rebecca Ryan, who spoke earlier, I just knew she was going to be a home run here, and I was so excited to be able to be there, introduce her, and watch her do her magic with our members. And of course, nobody does it better in terms of creating some energy and excitement than Motor Booty Affair, and having them here, which is going to be a little different than the normal sort of member appreciation, but I think it's just going to be appropriate this afternoon as members be able to hang out, have a beverage, have a conversation with the people that support us in the exhibit hall, and just remember that, it's hard work, but it's okay to have a little fun and celebrate too.
It is okay to have a little fun. And Jim, we'll be looking for you in the front row of Motor Booty Affairs. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you around this week. I'm happy to say that we have a true municipal rock star with us today. We have the first select person from the town of Solon, as well as MMA's incoming president, Elaine Aloes. Elaine, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
How does it feel to be back in person at the convention?
I love it. I'm glad there's so many people here. It's a good turnout. I love visiting the vendors, and we have a good agenda of sessions to talk about.
We have many great sessions. Is there one that you're looking forward to or that you're happy is returning?
I think any of the training sessions are good. Usually, sometimes, though, they're all in a clump that you all at the same time that you want to go to. Like right now, there's like 3 of them I could have gone to, but I had to go to the business meeting.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. You wish they were all taped like this was Zoom still.
Right.
You come back to them. I was looking at the vendors earlier, and I thought the vendors are so diverse, whether it be technology solutions, infrastructure, banks. Kind of speaks to how wide of a role our members do, municipalities.
And just walking around talking to the vendors is training. I mean, you get so much information from them, and they're more than willing to tell you about their products and what they do and how to do things better. I love sitting around with the vendors.
I agree. I would love to get up and chat more with them. And they know so much about their product.
They do.
So as incoming president, by the way, that's a big honor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are you looking forward to over the next year?
Looking forward to promoting all this training because I feel training's really important to the municipalities. We really, really need it. And just getting the message out about MMA, about what a great job, what a great organization it is and what it does for us and the state, and that we should be grateful that we have this great organization.
Well, from one advocate to another, happy to have you on board, and I'm sure we are in good hands under your watch for the next year. Before you go, are you looking forward to Moody Affair tonight?
I think that'll be a lot of fun, though I might stand at the other end because sometimes it's loud.
That's fair. Yeah, Jim Bennett, our current president, he's going to be front row.
Oh, he'll be front row.
Our incoming president going to be in the back watching it all.
I'll be entertaining people back there.
Bird's eye view.
Yep, keeping the crowd moving, getting focusing.
Well, Elaine, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Okay, thank you.
Neil Goldberg here again, live from our convention, and this time I have a municipal official who wears so many hats. Diane Hines hails from Hammond. Let's see if I can get this right. Hails from Hammond, town manager in Reed Plantation and Ludlow, and then most importantly, MMA's incoming vice president. Diane, welcome to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a great day. Love being here.
How does it feel to be back live at the convention?
Wow. I think I attended one when my husband was elected in the 90s, and it was the old Cross Center. So it was here whenever that was. But yeah, to be back live it's phenomenal. So we've had our couple of years just, wow.
It's tough to think about, but that municipal officials are sometimes in their silos, in their communities, sort of head down, doing dogged work. So it's great to be here and to see colleagues and to learn from each other.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that connectivity, however you want to call it. I've seen so many people today from the county that I know and other parts of the state that I've met through different ways. And I think everybody's just feeling that good energy today. It's very positive. I don't see many frowns out there.
No, I haven't seen anyone with their head down today. It's pretty positive.
Yeah.
Did you attend the keynote speaker this morning?
Oh, phenomenal. Yes, I'm pumped.
Unbelievable. It makes me happy for the future.
Yes.
Any other sessions or presentations that you're looking forward to this week?
Oh, the Motor Booty Band.
Well, of course.
I've never heard them, and I hear they're really phenomenal. So, yeah, Rebecca Ryan, some of the things she hit on, I'm like, I had never heard the terms that she used, but I've sort of been noticing those things. Because I think I never knew this till today, but I do look ahead. I have a big family, I have a lot of grandkids, and I think of the future. I actually have great grandkids. So I think of what's coming for them and how I can affect that, or my husband, in our life in Maine. Because we moved here from Philadelphia in 1973.
We won't tell anybody that, don't worry.
So, but I was young, and I feel like I grew up here, right? Because I was fresh out of college, and 2 babies, and what a great way. How lucky I was to be able to come into Maine and grow and raise my family and end up in municipal government.
I could agree with that. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, because I was headed towards textile industry. I went to a textile college, and that's where I was supposed to go, either New York City or down south. Well, my husband had different plans, so
we're glad you got diverted into the municipal world. What was your first position in the municipal government?
That's a good story. So we had town meeting in our little town of Hammond, and they had disparate jobs. You could be the treasurer, tax collector, other agents, and the effort was to combine all those and form a town manager position, town administrator. And everybody voted, yeah, let's do it. And nobody wanted to do the job, but I thought it was terrific. So I said, I'll try it. So here I come through with my textile design, weaving. And so I always had these skills to organize things as a weaver, right? You put your threads in order. So I'm like, I could probably figure this out. Well, I'd nobody was there to help me. I had to figure it out. Other town managers helped. The trainings through MMA and different agencies helped. And I was never hesitated to ask questions. Right? So then I went from that town to Ludlow and then eventually Reed Plantation.
Truly, what a trajectory from just sort of being community-minded, civic action-minded to soon to be the president of a large association.
What an honor it feels to me. It's an honor. I have always believed in MMA, and I'm just thrilled. Yeah.
So in the next year, you do get to watch the directorship of Elaine Aloes. Yes. Anything that you're looking forward to under her year as president?
I'm thrilled to be working with Elaine. Yes, I think we'll be a good team. Yeah, and we have Jim Bennett to come in and help us if we need help. Past presidents.
I'm sure he'd be happy to.
And fortunately, a couple of years ago, I almost forget to tell this story. I got onto the LPC, Legislative Policy Committee, and at that time, Mary Sabins was running the show. So I was encouraged by her to think, I could probably do that job. So I put in for the VP and got it.
Well, Mary, if you're out there listening, you're an inspiration to us. Diane, it was very great to speak with you today, and I look forward to the next few years of your leadership.
Thank you so much.
Day 2 here, Neil Goldberg with Durlin Lunt. Durlin, it's a pleasure to have you here at the podcast booth.
My pleasure.
I heard some exciting news that you actually won a big award this past year.
Yes, I received the League Stackpole Manager of the Year award from the Maine Town City Managers Association. I'm very pleased to have received that. Some really great people I've known over the years that have got that. I said, gee, I'm in their company now? That's kind of hard to believe.
Congratulations on that. And so, looking back on your sort of, storied history and past in municipal government, how did you first get started? Where did you first get started?
Well, I'm the manager of my hometown, which is really unique, and I can walk to work. But I got involved in that because back in the 70s, when I was just a young fellow, I was elected to the Board of Selectmen, and I stayed on that for 17 years, including the last 8 as chairman. And then I took a job with the cooperative extension at the University of Maine in Orono, and I just didn't have time. I had a young family. I just didn't have time to do both. Mm-hmm. So I got out of municipal government at that time and really wasn't involved at all until 2010 when I was asked to come in to be the interim town manager. They wanted to make a managerial change.
Wow.
In the interim, I had, when I was with the Extension Service, I'd gotten a master's degree in public administration, mainly because it was just something I was always interested in. I never thought I would really actually probably use it in municipal government because I was in the nonprofit world. But I said, that's a pretty good degree to have for that. So that I retired in 2009. And I was retired for a couple of years when they came and asked me if I'd be the interim while they did a search. Well, they never did the search, so I've been that
was a dozen years ago.
Yeah,
they're still looking.
Yeah, that's right. They're still doing it. So in March it'll be 13 years. So it was a great second career, actually.
Absolutely, and it's great that you were able to bookend it in your community.
Oh, that was the thing. Because I don't think I would not have gone out and sought to be a manager of another community because I did not seek this job out. And so I was not in a position where I was going to try to build a second career, but I was more than happy being at my hometown. If I could do something to help it, then that's what I was interested in doing.
So in the last decade, I know there's many things that you're probably proud of, but does one or two things stand out?
Well, I think there are two things. One, my job when I came in there as the interim was to heal the community because it was badly fractured. Mm-hmm. And so they knew, I was a known entity and people, for whatever reason, tended to like me, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so they thought I could do that. So we did do that. We brought the community back together and it's really shot upward. So the other thing is I'm quite pleased with is we've started to do cooperative sharing arrangements with the town of Bar Harbor. We share a number of staff positions now because as you realize, it's a hard slog to get people into municipal government. But right now we have a combined police department. Fire department, we share a deputy chief, and we just hired a joint human resources coordinator. So that's very exciting, and it's just we get a promotional line for people. Mount Desert's a small town. We do have, believe it or not, 58 employees.
Wow.
So we have
Nicely done.
Yeah, we have a population of about 2,400 people and 58 employees. But the reason is because it's a summer resort community, and the people demand services, expect services, and are willing to pay for the services. So, and you just can't hire people in the summer and lay them off. So, but we have a full-time fire department with 13 people in it. The combined police department has about 13 people. So we're a full-service community, and so that I think that sharing arrangement, working with I'm now working with my third town manager in Bar Harbor over that length of time, but it's been great. And I think we'll continue to do that, and I think other positions will come online eventually as well.
That's absolutely great to hear. Where you are, my first thought goes to probably climate change mitigation or remediation. Are there any joint projects going on with Bar Harbor there?
Yeah, there's an organization called A Climate to Thrive, and they have a sustainability coordinator that works closely with our sustainability committee. So we're doing joint work there as well, going after grants and having regional grants and things.
Makes sense. Storms don't recognize municipal boundaries.
They do not. So.
Well, how do you think the convention is going?
Oh, it's great. It's always good to see people. I hadn't been very active the last couple of years with the COVID and everything, so this is my first time back at a group activity for a while. It was just exciting to see old friends and things back. So.
It is. There's been a lot of positivity buzzing in the air.
Yes, absolutely. It was nice to have it in Bangor for me this year.
Yep.
It was a little closer.
Any sessions stand out?
I particularly, they're all great. I particularly enjoyed the Futures and session yesterday. I thought she really had some spot-on ideas, so I got been thinking about that. The whole scenario planning of worse and hitting the 40 scenarios, that kind of struck out. It was very interesting.
She definitely struck a chord with a lot of the audience. Yeah. Durlin, thanks for sitting down with me today, and I hope you enjoy the second day of the convention.
Oh, I definitely will.
Sitting here with Kurt Schaub, town manager in Turner. And just a moment ago, Kurt, you and I were talking very briefly about LD 290, the property tax stabilization. What are your thoughts?
I think it's wonderful in its intent. That I don't know that there are too many people who can't get behind wanting to provide some form of property tax relief for our elderly residents. But the execution here is, I think, very dangerous. One of the things that we were looking at in my community is the potential for a big ticket item to come up at town meeting. And we have such a potential right now. The dynamic in that vote, because of the tax freeze, is now completely changed.
Is it because there's less reassurance for what revenue you'll have in the future?
No. It has to do with, I would say, in the last 20 years, about 80% of our town meeting attendees are above age 65.
Oh, I see where this is going.
And they would evaluate things. It's not that they were opposed to spending. It's that they would evaluate things as, is this going to be good for the town, and what's it going to cost me? And now the dynamic is, well, yeah, this could be pretty good for the town, and it's not going to cost me anything. It's a completely different dynamic.
So it's almost like what was previously the old guard is now all of a sudden open to spending.
The potential is there. And we don't know, but it's frankly, it makes us a little nervous.
So Turner, off the cuff, do you know how many qualified households you have that are eligible for this stabilization?
I don't have an exact count, but I can tell you that the application form is one of the hottest tickets in town. We've actually had people come in, taking it a step further. Had someone come in, drop it off, and say, I want a receipt for this.
Oh. Certified mail, it sounds like.
So we actually just ran it through the copier and signed it and said, delivered on such and such a date. But people are excited about this, and I've had multiple conversations with our legislative representatives and told them that we appreciate what you tried to do here, but your challenge is now to get out of this gracefully. And I stress gracefully. You can accomplish the same goal, but there are different ways of getting there. This is just too far-reaching. And the example that we've used is that, supposing somebody's great Aunt Millie passes away and leaves them $10 million, and they, leave their $100,000 home in Turner and their $1,100 tax bill, and buys $1 million home down in Scarborough, and still has an $1,100 tax bill. How is that fair to the rest of the state as a whole? At that time, it becomes a state liability.
And we'll see how long the state has an appetite to fund their portion of it.
Precisely. And so I don't pretend to have an answer here, a specific answer. The one that I've been hearing the most about is some form of expansion of the circuit breaker program, which I have seen firsthand is a huge help to the struggling seniors. And we are a population that's getting older.
Yep. I'm going to toss another topic out there, which doesn't have a clear answer for it either. Solid waste. Just specifically, construction and demolition debris has gotten a lot of attention from the legislature.
It is an issue because we are one of the few towns that allows our residents to bring a limited amount of demolition debris to our transfer station at no additional cost.
Wow.
We try and encourage people to limit it to one pickup truckload a month, but the containers are there. And our biggest issue is, keeping contractors out, and as we try and deal with residential as a whole. But it is a growing part of our waste stream. It is a growing cost. I mean, the transfer station next to roads is probably the fastest growing budget in the community.
Wow.
And I keep education out of that because that is somewhat separate for us. But solid waste is, you look at the last 10 years and the growth in that budget, and it's in the contractual costs of getting rid of things.
Well, another 6 hours or so left for the convention. Anything you're looking forward to?
Actually, my purpose for being here today is I've got a number of projects that I want to put into my budget next year, and I need to touch base with some vendors.
Of course.
This is the place to do it. I have when somebody contacts me out of the blue for a service or a product, one of the first questions out of my mouth is, do you support or are you attending the Maine Municipal Convention? And that's, to me, is
Kurt, you're the poster child for our convention right now. We should put that quote up above the door as you walk in.
Today, the exhibit floor is my number one focus.
Well, then I won't hold you a second longer. Let's get you back on the floor. Let's get you talking with some vendors. I'm sure they'll love that. Well, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Okay, Neil, thank you.
Day 2 of the convention with John Simko, VP of Government Finance at Androscoggin Bank. John, how's the convention going?
It's going very well. Glad to be here in person.
We love having this in person. Is this your first one?
Most likely my 25th or 26th convention. My first convention, I think, was in 1995, and I missed a couple.
And if I'm correct, some of those conventions you were a member participant, not a vendor at the time.
Yes, I have 17 years under my belt as a town manager, so I'm now a recovering town manager.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Is there a support group?
There is. Actually, we have one in our bank. Jason Simcox, also a recovering town manager. We work together, so we have group once a week.
That is too good. Do you think that you are able to provide a friendlier or better service to members because of your municipal experience? Or?
I hope so. I try to. I understand municipal government. I understand, small towns and the administration, that you have to supply to a small town. It's a challenge right now. You folks at MMA know this because there's somewhat of a revolving door of folks, taking the lead seat as a town manager or even as a administrative assistant to a board of selectmen, what have you. Whatever lead person role it is in a small town, we're seeing at the bank side that revolving door creates challenges for the towns because there's lack of institutional knowledge, and some of the same problems have to be solved again and again and again because the person in that seat, unfortunately, hasn't solved them before.
Does that put you in the position to sort of be an advisor or a consultant to that incoming leader?
Yes. I mean, our bank's fortunate. It lets folks like me have free reign to sort of go and meet with folks, and if we can help in some way, we help. We don't have to do a transaction or whatever. You don't have to be a client of ours. I'm a good Samaritan. I get to go out and talk to towns, and if there's something I can impart upon them that maybe I've worked on before, I'll offer it, and if it helps, I'm glad.
That's great to hear. Any other sort of challenges that you're seeing facing municipalities from the financial sector? Inflation, has that been hitting hard?
Yeah, we were just talking to some folks. Danielle Barabee from Old Town was by our office, by our booth over there. Good example. The city of Old Town's financed some equipment with us, and the equipment is approximately 1 to 2 years behind delivery. And it's supply chain issues that are, vexing the delivery of, heavy rescue equipment or plow trucks or what have you. And she tells me that there's some equipment they're looking to order now, new, but they are having a hard time getting a fixed price on it because of those issues with that.
Wow.
So that's that. I mean, if you can't nail down a number for the cost of a piece of equipment, how do you budget for it, right? Or how do you budget adequately for it? You're going to have to kick it up higher than hopefully it has to be, and that, puts more pressure on the budget and on the property taxes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just tough to plan in general if you don't know when these expenses are going to finally drop.
Right.
And so, with 1 day left, are you looking forward to any sessions or trying to flag down any members?
I'm glad you brought up the sessions because I have the privilege, thanks to MMA, to moderate a session this afternoon. It's called Shut the Front Door, Reactions to the Heating Season for 2022-2023. This year, we are seeing fuel prices and petroleum prices arguably higher than they've been in a decade. Inflation, as you mentioned, is a problem. Supply chain issues are a problem. So as town managers, boards of selectmen, et cetera, enter the heating season, there's a challenge. How do you budget for this? How high is it going to go, et cetera? There's at the same time a lot of federal money available right now to help with, energy efficiency, energy conservation, et cetera.
I wish I could attend that session. I've got some energy bills I'd love to lower in my house. Good luck at that session, and thanks for being here, and thanks for supporting our members.
Great. Thank you very much.
Neil Goldberg with Kay Rand. Kay, could you share a little bit about what your familiarity is with MMA?
I'd be happy to. My first job out of college was with the Maine Municipal Association in 1978. And I did many things. We had a Department of Community Development, which I headed, and then I became, after John Melrose left, I became Director of State and Federal Relations. So it was a great experience. I still have friends from MMA in those days that are more like family. It was a great place to work. I developed, I'm grateful for that opportunity. It gave me a lot of respect for the jobs that municipal officials do. I think it's the hardest elected, and I've worked for a governor and a United States senator, and I think serving your municipality is probably the hardest elected work you can do. And I learned a lot of, working with the legislature, representing municipalities in the state legislature gave me a lot of respect for the legislative process too, which I've lost.
What do you mean?
When you're away from it, Neil, and all you get is what you read in the paper, it's harder. You don't have the relationships, number one, and number two, you don't watch people struggle with difficult decisions. You just read about the end, and it's not nearly as three-dimensional as you need to continue that level of respect.
Almost like being in the trenches with someone, whether you agree or disagree with them, helps you build respect for their work.
Governor King used to call that when you're in a lifeboat with somebody for 4 years, you develop some pretty strong relationships.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you weren't in too many lifeboats. So this is probably not your first MMA convention, then, it's fair to say.
It is not. It is not my first MMA convention. Conventions in the 80s were a big deal. I mean, I'm sure they are still a big deal, but they were 3 days, and the banquet was on Thursday night, and people, believe it or not, used to buy new gowns to attend the banquet.
Well, we'll see who's in a brand new gown at Motor Booty Affair tonight. We'll know who's still really serious about it.
We'll take note.
Anything exciting about being back at this convention? I know it's been a few years since we held it. Seeing old friends.
It's really good to see old friends, but most of my colleagues have retired. David Barrett is probably the only, and Kate, and a lot of the municipal officials are retired and no longer working. But Jim Bennett is a good friend. I've known Jim since he was an 18-year-old selectman in Lisbon Falls. So that's how long he's been serving municipalities. So it's good to run into old friends.
Jim was just in this chair not long ago talking about that, and he was actually speaking much to what you were saying about how local government, serving your town, serving your community, is the most rewarding, but also the toughest work.
Well, the people who are going to be impacted by the decisions you make are the people in the same church pew with you. Your kids go to school together. You're going to run into them at the grocery store. It's much harder. I'm married to a town manager, and we've only lived in 2 of the towns that he managed, Hollowell and Bar Harbor, and I can tell you that it's much, much harder for a manager to live in the town he's managing, because the people who care about the decisions you make are right there with you.
That makes absolute sense. They're going to be in the grocery aisle with you and
on the golf course with you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Kay, before you leave, so what do you do now? You're a consultant. How are you serving municipalities? I have my own consulting
practice. I stopped working for Senator King in 2019, and I joined the board of Treadwell Franklin Infrastructure Company, which is a private. We've privately finance public infrastructure projects, and they purchased Sewell, the old engineering firm out of Old Town. So Treadwell Franklin, Sewell, and there are a number of other companies under the TFIC umbrella. But it's mostly about public infrastructure projects and finding ways to innovatively finance them. We did a parking garage in Biddeford, completely privately financed. We're just permitted a cold storage facility in the waterfront in Portland that's all entirely privately financed. So it's a way to assist the public in affording necessary projects in innovative ways. So it's been fun. And I consult on some of those projects too.
Kate, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome, Neil. This was fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, we're back. This is Neil Goldberg again with James Neal from Efficiency Maine. James, what's your role at Efficiency Maine?
I am the Senior Program Manager of Finance Initiatives. So I'm running our CPACE program and our Efficiency Maine Green Bank.
For audience out there, what is a green bank? What would Maine's green bank look like eventually?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it's not truly a bank. We don't take deposits. Really what we're doing is exploring different market gaps in Maine and trying to serve those needs for different Mainers. So trying to find an area where someone might want a certain energy efficiency project and not be able to obtain it where there's no private market solution for them. That's where we would try and step in and solve that problem.
And what are energy efficiency projects? I mean, are those only solar panels? What are some other examples that a business might do, or a household might do, or industry-wide might do?
Yeah, it's a great question. In the residential world, it is solar panels, it is heat pumps, it can be lighting, it can be weatherization. There's a lot of different types of projects that would be considered an energy efficiency project.
So, James, first day of our convention, first morning here. What are you looking forward to? Are you going to any of the sessions or any of the speakers that you're looking forward to hearing?
I've mostly been just cruising with the crowd and talking to a lot of the different banks and trying to some conversations with different municipalities in advance of the launch of our CPACE program coming later this fall. It's a program in which municipalities would need to opt in. And so starting to have that conversation with them and help them understand the program a little bit better and see if it might be the right choice for their municipality.
We do love those municipal opt-in programs. This is the commercial PACE program, similar to the residential PACE program that a lot of towns are already implementing. Do you think there are going to be any early movers and shakers in the CPACE program?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to predict. I know that Portland and South Portland have expressed interest, as well as Biddeford, and I've talked to a number of other municipalities that might have lower populations or be more rural that are also interested. It certainly can be a great opportunity for a municipality to spearhead more economic development and energy efficiency projects, helping the members of their community. So it's definitely tasked upon me to reach out far and wide and make sure that every municipality has a chance to review it and understand it and hopefully opt in.
You're a busy guy. You've got a busy booth at Efficiency Maine right now. But before you go, one last question. Are you looking forward to Motor Booty Affair tonight?
Oh, my gosh. Of course.
It's a Maine staple. Well, we'll see you there in the front row.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
Thank you very
James.
much.
That happens.
I'm with Christine Landis, town manager from the town of Chelsea. Christine, thanks for sitting down with us.
Good morning, Neil.
So how was day one? What did you enjoy? Did you go to any fun sessions?
Yes, absolutely. I think the most joy that I had was seeing all of my colleagues that we haven't got together in the past couple of years. Everything was done virtually because of COVID. So it was nice to catch up and kind of network that way. I would say, though, probably the best session that I did attend yesterday was the featured speaker in the morning.
I've heard that.
That was great. And also the local roads. Coming from a small town in Chelsea, I wear many hats. So the local roads session certainly enlightens people who need to take care of the roads. Lots of questions, lots of situations that everybody had a discussion about.
That is great. I should say that we've developed a small audience here that's watching this interview. But so that was Peter Coughlin in the road session?
Yes.
How is road maintenance? What's the reality of that in Chelsea? That was our last episode, in fact.
Of the roads in Chelsea?
Well, roads in general. We covered Jackman and we spoke to Peter. And
Yes. Well, I have been, as of this recording, I've been in Chelsea for a month. My first week, I think I had 4 culvert calls in regards to the roads, the driveways going into the roads. Very similar with other municipalities. Money is tight. You put repairs on the roads to the side to keep up with all the rest of the other things going on in the town. So slowly but surely, we'll get on a path to have a plan to repair, rebuild, maintain the roads in Chelsea. So it's still a learning process where I've only been there the month.
well, I'm sure with your experience in other communities, you'll do fine. Do you feel well staffed for winter plowing?
Actually, Chelsea does not have a public works department.
No way.
We contract everything out. So this will be a little bit of a change for me.
That could be a refreshing thing.
Absolutely. I did talk to the contractor this week that got the contract. He's from a southern Maine town, so I told him stop by and we will tag team and make a great thing for Chelsea.
I'm glad to hear that. And last night, Motor Booty Affair?
Motor Booty Affair. I had never seen them, heard lots about them. It was a good time.
Thanks for sitting down with me today and enjoy the rest of the convention.
Thank you, Neil.
Day 2, morning of our convention. I'm here with Judy Matthews, Town of Winslow Assessor. Judy, it's great to have you here in the chair with us.
Thank you very much.
How's the convention going?
Actually, I've really enjoyed coming back after the COVID and seeing people and networking. It's a huge part.
What do you miss most? Are there any sessions you've really enjoyed?
I've enjoyed the current legislation. The LD 290 is a huge topic right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I've really enjoyed talking with other assessors and even the tax collectors on how we're supposed to administer it and what's going to be done going forward.
What is the common sentiment right now regarding that legislation? Hold your breath? Everyone excited?
I think there's a difference between a few assessors' opinions. I've always been the one that just kind of stands back a little bit and waits to see what's going to happen next. I don't overreact. But there are others that are very organized and they're ready and they're prepared and they've got all of the T's crossed and the I's dotted. So that's good too.
That is good. It's good to be prepared. Have you received any applications already?
Just
Winslow?
about 600.
600. Wow. I just have to say, you wonder how the state's going to deal with that influx.
I know, exactly. And I'm not sure. I know what we have to do as assessors. The hard part's going to be what they're going to do to be able to bill that person that amount without messing up the tax billing system.
100. I couldn't agree more. 600 is not a small number.
No,
What's
it
the
isn't.
population of
Well,
Winslow?
we have about 8,000 in Winslow, and it's a retirement community to some degree. So for them, you know what? The best thing about this program is having these taxpayers come in, and I can actually talk with them and meet with them beyond the scope of the application. That's huge.
That is great. It actually speaks to a lot of what the Ethel Kelly recipient last night was saying, that, you know, it's just great to be able to welcome someone to your community, say hello to them.
Exactly.
And so, is that a silver lining to LD 290?
That's my silver lining.
I like that. Solar panels. Are they coming to Winslow?
They are. We've had one huge solar farm that's above the 5 megawatts, so it's taxable.
Good.
But being a small town assessor, I've had to hire an appraiser to come in and do it for me, which is actually a good thing. So that person has, created an assessment for it, and hopefully will do so. And we've got 2 or 3 more proposed. So, and they're big.
They're popping up.
They are.
And it's certainly big money for the landowner and the developer.
It is.
Is it big money for the towns? Yet to be seen?
It's yet to be seen. I mean, any new valuation, taxable valuation, is good for a town in any situation. But when it's so big like that, you're waiting for it to pop, and just the ramifications afterwards is it's like an old mill, all of a sudden closing, where you depended on their tax revenue.
It's interesting. I hadn't put it in that perspective, but you're right. I mean, if a community really leans too heavily in that regard,
exactly,
too much of their base will be in solar.
Exactly.
Well, I know there's a lot going on today, and you want to be busy and get involved. But before I let you go, Motor Booty Affair, how were they?
Oh, I love Motor Booty Affair, and I can't believe they're still rocking it after all these years. I mean, I can remember first starting to see them, they had just a little bit of a setup, and this was huge. I mean, they just had everything all set up.
And then they convention,
fun.
We get the big billings.
It's fun.
We got AC/DC coming next year. No, I'm joking. Well, it was great to meet you, Judy, and thanks for sitting down.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm sitting down with Yanina Nicholas, assistant to the town manager in Kennebunkport.
Yep.
Yanina, thanks for being here. How's it going?
It's great. I'm enjoying my time in this convention. It's been my first time in the convention, at MMA convention in general, so it's awesome. I love every part of it.
Has there been any opportunity to meet some faces maybe that you've seen on Zoom or an email?
Yes, so actually the first day I was speaking on the panel, and it is how to recruit, retain, and support young municipal workers. So while we were preparing to the panel, the other 2 panelists, I just saw them via Zoom, so I never met them before. So it was really nice to actually see them in person, because it's a little different feeling to see somebody in person versus Zoom. And then I just met a few people from different communities, talked to them, and tried to see what people are up to.
Without putting you on the spot, Is there a silver bullet to recruiting and retaining young municipal employees?
I mean, there is not. I try to do my best research and, try to pinpoint what young municipal workers want. And there is really this perfect formula.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, the big part would be flexibility. Try to work on your schedule and figure out your schedule, and support. So mentorship, and I think that's the big part. And also a clear pathway for your career. So what it looks like and how you can get from point A to point B, what is the most straightforward way to it.
And so you're in a community that sort of does have both horizontal and vertical paths to follow. What advice would you give to someone who is on a hometown in which the municipal department is only 4 or 5 staff? It's a town of less than 1,000. Does that have the same career opportunity for them there?
Honestly, I think those towns are the best.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think that is the absolute best way to experience municipal world and life, because you get a chance to try everything from every perspective. And that's why I love, my municipal career, because I try to do a little bit of everything, and that's how I explore myself, and that's how I know. That's how I can establish this big goal for myself. And every day I try to set a goal to make something better, or to help someone, or to talk to someone, to improve someone's life. So smaller municipalities are just the best, because people can explore so much. And I think I'm not trying to offend larger cities, but in smaller municipalities, you just have this unique chance to be whoever you want to be, and you can change so much. You can change the world there.
I agree. Almost like you have a longer leash to run in a smaller municipality. A quick opportunity to brag for a moment. What are some of the cool accomplishments that you've experienced in your community?
So I had a chance to do a lot of nice things in Kennebunkport. First of all, I just love the community in general. So for me, I think even, picking up a phone and solving a little problem of trash not being picked up and making sure that trash is picked up for someone, that is an accomplishment for me. And every time when somebody calls me and they say, I don't think that's a big problem, or, I think this is small, but maybe you can help me. I always say I care, and I'll put 110% to solve this. And just caring about little things make it better for a person. But on the large scale, we just had Chock the Port, which is a nice community event. And our Parks and Recreation department puts it together, and I had a chance to work with them, and it's absolutely the best thing ever to see happy kids and families, and it was just wonderful. I had a chance to work with other departments, Public Works Department, my absolute biggest pride and I talk a lot about it, to snowblow in the winter.
Nice.
I volunteered to do it, and I just love it. And I keep saying I don't even need to get paid. I just love doing it for the community. I love working.
You love that, a municipal employee who doesn't want to be paid. We'd love those.
That's true, volunteer. Yeah, I also think it's nice that I have a chance to work with Laurie Smith, who's the town manager, and she has absolutely the best mindset, and she has this big vision, and she drives community towards this vision. And so every day working with her, I feel like we're doing something big.
That's great to hear, and you're right, Laurie is absolutely great. But I will say, what we're hearing from MMA is that you are a rising star, and so in a short time, there's going to be someone who says that about you, I believe.
Well, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
Thanks for sitting down, and enjoy the rest of the convention. This time, I'm sitting down with Jillian Gaddis, Deputy Clerk from the town of Cutler. Jillian, it's great to have you here.
It's good to be here, yeah.
I heard you're a relative newbie in Cutler. How did you wind up there?
I live in East Machias. I'm from East Machias. Actually, it's the current clerk who's getting ready to retire. She encouraged me to apply for that job, and, I think you should be good at it. And she brought a packet to my house, and I filled it out and interviewed. Here I am, deputy clerk.
Election season's coming up soon. What type of work does that entail for you in the office?
That, just to get off the ground, it's a lot of reading because there are very specific laws. It's the type of stuff, it's public trust. You cannot F this up. You know, whatever it is you do, it has to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever I touch, I put the date, the time, and my initials on it. You know, just Jillian was here.
And do you think it's always been that way, or is there more of a heightened sense of scrutiny?
I think you're right in saying that there's a heightened sense of scrutiny given recent events that we don't need to go into because everybody knows. But it's always been serious business. Election officials take their jobs very seriously. Like, this is our whole country. You know what I mean? We're based off this premise that everybody has a say, you know, and that's the most serious of jobs, really. I mean, unless you're a surgeon.
No, you're giving voice to democracy, truly.
Right, yeah. It has to be accurate, it has to be right, and you're a fool if you don't take your election job seriously.
Another topic that is certainly on the forefront in Cutler has to do with fishing and the right whale restrictions.
Yes.
What's that been like for your residents, for your businesses? How has Cutler responded?
Cutler is slow to respond. There is an elder population there, but it is a fishing community. And as you can imagine, the majority of people support themselves and their families through lobster fishing. It's a harsh blow because there have been no right whale entanglements in Maine fishing gear for 18 years.
Wow.
And the science backs that because lobster gear, specifically from Maine, is exhaustively tagged by law. You know, we have, at first, these restrictions were put in place by the lobstermen themselves because they are stewards of the ocean. I mean, it's in their benefit to take care of the environment that brings them their livelihood. You'd be crazy not to. It's kind of a rock and a hard place because you want to galvanize to take the fight to Augusta to protect your way of life. But as a municipal employee, you're like, holy crap, how do we brace for the worst? You know, like I said a few minutes ago, if there's any kind of a moratorium on lobster fishing, that's a whole town in the red immediately. And there's a lot of coastal communities that are going to be in the red immediately. What just happened to the lights?
It looks like Motor Booty Affair is about to do their sound check in just a moment. But Jillian, before I let you go, MMA convention, what's it been like?
It's been very enjoyable so far. The keynote speaker, first thing this morning, Rebecca Ryan, I think her name was, outstanding.
Good.
I could listen to that lady talk all day. She could read a phone book to me, let me tell you. I've been to a couple of classes that were interesting.
Jillian, thank you so much for your time and sitting down with me, and I appreciate this.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I have a very special guest with me right now, Shenna Bellows, Secretary of State, here with us at the convention. Shenna, thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure. Municipal officials are such an important partner with the Secretary of State in the area of elections and, of course, Bureau of Motor Vehicles. I'm here today on the issue of protecting election officials and election security. We'll also be giving an overview of what to expect in the upcoming election, and it's just our pleasure.
That's certainly a hot topic issue. I mean, we know just from our hearing from our members that increasingly they feel threatened or like there is some violence occurring around these elections. Is that real? Is that true?
Unfortunately, yes. What we have seen in the wake of the 2020 elections is the rise of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Lies being told about how elections are run, that have incited people to threats and even violent acts across the nation. We heard this morning that 1 in 6 election officials have experienced some sort of threat from a member of the public. The majority of those come in phone calls, but they can also be in person, in the mail, and in other forms. So here in Maine, we've taken some proactive steps. We passed legislation in partnership with the municipal clerks to protect election workers and to provide training. Just this week, we provided de-escalation training for municipal clerks, and it's a very serious matter because, unfortunately, a threat on an election worker is a threat on democracy. The municipal officials, our local municipal clerks, they make our elections run. And our elections are fundamental to democracy itself and to everything we care about.
Wow. That is great to hear that there are some protections going in place. But that number 1 in 6, I mean, that is really telling. And that's almost 100 municipalities here in the state of Maine.
It's a national statistic, but yes, if you bring that out across the state, we do think that threats against election officials are probably underreported. We had 2 documented threats against election officials in 2021 that rose to law enforcement involvement, including a prosecution in one of those cases that was successful.
Wow.
However, one of the conversations we're having today at the convention is municipal officials get used to abuse sometimes. You know, the angry customer, the hostile taxpayer. It's a fact of life. And so what we talked about is that when that escalates, when it rises to the next level, be sure to alert us at the Secretary of State's office so we can involve potentially a law enforcement response if it's warranted.
So along that line, MMA right now is doing some fact-finding on FOA requests and public access officers. And they are telling a very similar story, that they are the recipients of threats and workplace violence. And so has that reached your office yet, or is that still sort of bubbling up?
That also has reached our office. So again, the source of the problem is misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Conspiracy theories about our local elections, about local government, about how government works, that then fan the flames of people demanding information, sometimes about things that don't even exist in Maine. So we receive some of those records requests that are really absurd sometimes on their face because they demand records or terms that don't exist in Maine law, and sometimes they can have a very threatening tone as well. We're also seeing the emergence of the copycat record request, where on some of these fringe sites, Telegram, some of these fringe actors, QAnon, they will put out a call to action to encourage people to copy-paste a record request and send it to municipal clerks. So at the Secretary of State's office, we actually hired an attorney to assist us with responding to those elections-related FOA requests, and we've encouraged municipal clerks, if there's something that it seems to be a larger statewide issue, if it's terminology that is really confusing to the municipality because it doesn't seem to exist,
good afternoon,
they
everyone.
can reach out to us.
Hopefully you guys can hear me a little better now.
That is good to hear that you guys are gearing up to help with that or to prepare for that. It sounds like the announcement just come on. Absolute pleasure to sit down with you. Thank you.
Likewise.
Really pleased to be sitting down with Bruce Van Note, Commissioner of Maine DOT. Bruce, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks. It's a great opportunity. It's a great day in convention. I always like partnering up with our municipal partners is how we get stuff done.
Absolutely. And those face-to-face greetings, it goes 1,000 miles. We've been so much in the Zoom world the last few years that being in person is great. And how does it feel to be sort of back?
It feels great because municipal government was back, generally, and we kind of followed suit. And I don't think you can really get complex stuff done without face-to-face stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're making widgets and that's your job, and the widget maker is still coming at the same speed, you can do that on your own for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have to decide what widgets to make, what priorities, what they cost, how do you do it, who's on first, boy, that takes a lot of coordination, communication, and I just face-to-face is just so much better for that.
We absolutely love to be back in person, and I know that there's a lot of big decisions that DOT is starting to make in the next year or has been making. Seaport infrastructure is one of them, in fact. So doing that remotely would have been tough.
It sure is. We got a lot of things going on. Federal bipartisan infrastructure law that got passed a little less than a year ago now has been a game changer. Not in ways that people think. People just think we're swimming in money and everything for everybody. It has definitely been a huge help with our formula funds, which is kind of like your paycheck. Mm-hmm. But the bigger thing is the discretionary grant programs that are there that allow you to think bigger. We couldn't even be thinking about a wind port that could support an entirely new industry in Maine and save the environment and fight climate change while you're doing it without these federal partners in these programs. So it has changed it from kind of a MacGyver mode, I call it. Patch and pray, just keeping things together. We still need to have that method when we have so many miles of road, so much to do, but we can think big also at the same time. So we are doing both, and I think that's the way it's supposed to be, because Maine's a big state. You can't treat it all the same. You got to come at it different tools.
Absolutely. We say that all the time, which is one size fits all never works for a state as diverse as Maine, geographically, politically, population size. Any cool projects coming to completion or just beginning? I will say personally, I was in awe with the 48-hour replacement of the bridge in Portland.
Veranda Street. Yep.
It was so cool the way that was done.
It was cool, and that's what we can do when we get funding and partners going together. One thing everybody knows, whether it's a municipality and you've got a public works unit, they just can do people, and sure, they're going to do their, we need this, we need that kind of portion of the program because they got a plan. But once you tell them that's all you're going to get, do it.
They get it done.
Get out of the way. I mean, the dust's going to fly. And that was one with Veranda Street where we were given a challenge and we partnered with the contractor and we partnered with the designer and us. And it was fun to watch. I mean, we used My Jacks, which are the same kind of things that they use to move like the space shuttle and those kind of things. Big, huge things and lift it into place. I was there.
It was so cool.
It was wicked cool. I'm an engineer by original training, and you can't take that out of someone. And it just, people said it looking at me, it was dark, but I said, you just stood there smiling for like hours watching it. And I was so proud of our people and the contractor and everybody. So yeah, that's a cool thing. Those are kind of that particular project they're all one-offs.
Yeah.
We don't have another stuff. The majority of some of the things we're proud of for cool projects are this village partnership initiative that we're kicking off, where we partner with municipalities to kind of transform their villages. And I don't even like using the word downtowns because it could be a small little stretch, just a municipal building, a church, a gas station. But there's a school and something where you need to design the human scale, slow it down, think about sidewalks and pedestrians. And if you drive around the state of Maine, if you've ever come into Belgrade Village on Route 27, that was one where they just had a vision, and it's just
gorgeous
go there.
now.
It's absolutely beautiful. And it was the partnership. They had the vision, and we do things like, well, you can't fit that, but you can do this. Drive up 302. Go through Naples, take a look at that. Go through Bridgeton, take a look at that. That's what can happen when you work together.
Wow. So I'm in Waterford, town over from Bridgeton right now, and what they are doing there, it looks like a totally different town.
Yep.
The streetscaping, the new sidewalk. If a municipality wants more information on this village partnership, who should they reach out to?
Well, we have there's a booth right here, and we have regional planners. I could give you all the names, but it's easy just to get the card. Dale Dowdy is the head of our planning unit. I stole him from municipality. He was in Lewiston. I decided if we're going to get serious about partnering with municipalities, get somebody who has been on the other side of the shop and understands their challenges. And so Dale is the point person for that. Jen Grant is his assistant. And we have 4 other regional planners that span out the state, and they will come to you. I mean, if you have an idea, we're here to talk to you.
A great program and some really great news. And so, Bruce, I won't hold you because I know lunch is starting soon. Pleasure to talk.
Hey, Neil, thanks for the opportunity. It's a great time.
live from the convention with Marty Groman, city councilor from the city of Biddeford. Marty, it's great to have you here today.
Hey, thanks. What an honor to be on the Politics and Potholes podcast, Neil. I'm a big fan. The show floor is buzzing, and looks like you're capturing it all right here.
We're trying our best. This is our first true live interviews. So here at the convention, are you looking forward to any presentations or any speakers?
I thought Rebecca Ryan was great this morning. I really I took a ton of notes. I was taking pictures of the slides. I liked the message. If the town manager in the next town over took over and said, what are the 3 things they would do? I thought that was super compelling. I had also attended an EPA Brownfields talk with Ransom Engineering that was really good. Biddeford's been involved with that with some of the mill revivals, and networking's been killer. So my first time coming to the convention, and I'm not just going to get up and leave. It's pretty good so far.
Oh, we're glad to hear that. We hope you're enjoying being in person. It's somewhat nice getting out of our silos. You come here and you realize a lot of other towns and cities are struggling and grappling with the same exact issues.
Yeah, totally comparing notes. Everything from electric vehicle charging to best way to put out RFPs, community engagement, and stuff like that. Put in a plug for my day job as executive director of V2 Tech. I just saw one of my board members, Shelby Wright from Casella. So it's actually. I did have to leave the house pretty darn early this morning, but it has been worth it. And when I got here, I think every fire chief in the entire state of Maine was already here. So that was actually pretty cool to see.
Oh, yeah. We draw a wide variety of vendors. Obviously, our members are very diverse. But touching back on sort of your day job and responsibilities, technology solutions, whether it be energy or waste or electric vehicles, what does Biddeford see coming down the pipeline in that regard?
We just toured yesterday South Portland's big solar install on their landfill. Mm-hmm. We do have a capped landfill in Biddeford. That's something that we've been looking at. Obviously, we're all working with increasing energy costs. Our school department has actually bought into a community solar project, but that hasn't gone online yet. So that's one thing we're looking hard at. We have just changed our recycling ordinance to actually just yesterday to be able to, frankly, tighten up some of our contamination rules. Mm-hmm. So those are 2 things that I'm sort of here learning more about. Obviously, we can get more value for our recycled material if we have fewer, bowling balls and brake rotors in it. So that's something we're looking at too.
Well, that's great. It's a good place to learn about it. And I know there's a lot going on, so I won't hold you long. But I have to ask, are you looking forward to Modi Booter Affair tonight?
Yes, I understand the Motor Booty Affair has been dispatched from the planet Funtar. And, our city manager, the legend, Jim Bennett, I expect him to lead the way out onto the dance floor.
Jim was sitting in this seat earlier today, and I think he'll be front row for that entire concert, that entire show. So, well, it's great to see you here, and thanks for sitting down with me.
It's an honor to be on. Thanks, Neil.
Hello, everyone. This is Neil Goldberg with Brian Roach back at the podcast booth. Brian is the communication officer with Volunteer Maine. Brian, thanks for being with us right now.
Oh, thank you so much, Neil. Appreciate it.
Is this your first MMA convention?
This is, yeah, actually. It's actually our first event since 2019, so it's just nice to be, out.
Well, happy to be here in person with you. And so if I'm correct, Volunteer Maine has a few cool new initiatives going on. Tell me about some.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I know I'd be yelled at if I didn't start first by explaining who we are, because that's my largest challenge. So Volunteer Maine, we're a state agency. It's our DBA. Our real government name is the Maine Commission for Community Service. So basically, we fund volunteerism initiatives, volunteerism programs, and we train volunteer managers. So within that, we support service corps. And for those in the audience who aren't familiar, the most widely known example is AmeriCorps, who, we have a group of 25 citizen commissioners. They fund the AmeriCorps programs in the state that help to tackle some of the bigger issues in the state. And from a workforce development side, too, we're really starting to see a lot of folks from away come to Maine. It's folks know about that trend, but we're starting to see it more with the service corps, which is nice. So basically, so beyond AmeriCorps, it's a really exciting and busy time for us right now because we're launching 2 new service corps, the Maine Climate Corps and the Maine Service Fellows. Maine Climate Corps is going to focus specifically on climate initiatives. We'll also partner with our partners in the federal government at AmeriCorps. The Maine Service Fellows, and this is what I'm truly extremely excited about. It's a Maine program focused on Maine priorities for the Maine communities that need it. And the workforce development side is that, unlike AmeriCorps, yes, we are requiring a college degree for this program, but our hope is that not only can we bring folks from away, but we can also retain folks in Maine and give them a chance to jump into a community right away and solve a problem.
How many communities so far have a Maine Service Fellow placed? Is it just starting?
It is just starting right now. We are in the community sponsor phase right now. So we are looking for communities to sign up, and we have all the information on our website, volunteermaine.gov. For 1,800 hours of help, the cost share is $1,800, and then we pay the other $30,000 to support the fellow and the growth of the initiative. So it really is. You can look at it from a capacity building lens as well.
Oh, it's a great financial deal for the towns that are receiving the fellow.
Yeah, there are a lot of folks who can take advantage, not only of this program, but anything that we offer on the volunteer management side as well.
I'd say, Brian, the passion in which you're talking about this is contagious right now. I think I want to be a service fellow.
Thank you.
We absolutely support that mission, and we're glad to have you on our team. Brian, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Well, that's all we have for you folks. We really hope you enjoyed this selection of interviews from our convention. And even more so, we hope you come and find us next year at MMA's convention in Augusta and join us at the podcast recording booth. Signing off, this is Neil and Rebecca.